Starting with the subclavius muscle, the subclavius, as the name suggests, is situated below the clavicle. Now, coming to the introductory points of the subclavius muscle. The subclavius muscle is a small, rounded muscle located inferior to the clavicle. Coming to the origin of the subclavius muscle, the subclavius originates from the first costochondral junction and is inserted onto the subclavian groove, which is situated on the inferior surface of the clavicle. If you've read clavicle, then you know that the clavicle has a shaft and two ends. The shaft is further divided into lateral 1/3 and medial 2/3. The medial 2/3 has an upper surface and a lower surface, an anterior surface and a posterior surface. The subclavian groove is located on the inferior surface of the clavicle and provides attachment to the subclavius muscle. Now, coming to the nerve supply of the subclavius muscle, the subclavius muscle is supplied by the nerve to subclavius, which is a branch arising from the upper trunk of the brachial plexus. Now, coming to the actions of the subclavius muscle, during the movement at shoulder joint, the subclavius stabilizes the clavicle by pulling it inferiorly and medially. This can also be understood by remembering the origin and insertion of the subclavius muscle. The origin is from the first costochondral junction, therefore this region remains immobile. The insertion is onto the inferior surface of the clavicle at the subclavian groove. Therefore, the contraction of the subclavius muscle will result in the movement of the clavicle inferiorly and medially, which is important in order to stabilize the clavicle during movement at shoulder joint. Now, in order to represent the subclavius in a diagram, here we have our manubrium sterni. Here we have our clavicle, also known as the collarbone. Then here we have our first rib, the first costochondral junction. The origin of the subclavius is from the first costochondral junction and it is inserted onto the inferior surface of the clavicle at the subclavian groove. This is the origin of the subclavius and here you have its insertion at the subclavian groove situated on the inferior surface of the clavicle. Now, summarizing the subclavius is a small rounded muscle located inferior to the clavicle. It originates from the first costochondral junction and is inserted onto the inferior surface of the clavicle at the subclavian groove. And it is supplied by the nerve to subclavius, which is a branch of the which arises from the upper trunk of the brachial plexus, and it performs the actions of stabilizing clavicle during movement at shoulder joint by pulling it inferiorly and medially. Guys, if you found this video to be useful, then please do like this video, share this video and subscribe to my channel, Learn with Ease, as well as any comments from you people are wholeheartedly welcomed. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.